I bought a shoe rack because my entrance to my apartment was chaos, and I'm sort of in love with it, but it also brought my attention to how many pairs of shoes I actually have. I just counted them, and there are 37 pairs. Is that too much? I started thinking about how much clothes I also have in my wardrobe. I haven't counted those yet because I have other plans. I thought it would be interesting if I talked a little bit about my take on minimalism for your wardrobe. So what is minimalism? Minimalism is all about owning what adds value and meaning to your life and removing the rest. Minimalism is the intentional promotion of the things that bring you joy and the removal of the things that do not. And so there really isn't any rules around what is considered or not minimalism. You don't have to have a set amount of pieces in your wardrobe or in your house to be able to be considered a minimalist. I feel that the minimalism trend has been picking up speed on social media lately, and I see a lot of people putting self-imposed rules to what they consider to be minimalist. I think social media gives us a sense of competition where people seem that they have to one-up each other, where you see somebody saying, I pared down my wardrobe to 40 pieces, and somebody else goes along and says, well, I pared down my wardrobe to 30, and then somebody else comes along and says, I pared mine down to 20. So it feels like a competition to see who is more minimalist, and I don't really think that makes any sense. I see these decluttering videos where people get rid of even pieces that they like just for the sake of hitting that number that in their head is going to make them an actual minimalist. And I don't really think that is sustainable. I don't think that's good for your mental well-being. And I don't think that's something that people should be practicing. A few years ago when I was living in Rio, I lived in a very small studio apartment. It was around 180 square feet. When I moved in, I brought in all the things from my prior apartment, but then life happened. I got rid of everything. A friend of mine stayed in that apartment for a while, and then when I eventually moved back in, I didn't have anything. So I bought a used mattress and I bought back my mini fridge from her, and that is basically what the apartment had. So I lived, I think, 1 year with only the mattress. It was directly on the floor, and the mini fridge, because there wasn't really a kitchen in this apartment, so there was no space to put an actual fridge. I had no washing machine. There was no washing machine in the building. And in Rio, it's not really custom to have laundromats. So the laundromat that I did have on the block was super expensive. So I washed my clothing in a bucket. And I lived that way for a year. My clothes were all in a suitcase. And at one point, it drove me crazy. And I ended up purchasing a secondhand dresser with 6 drawers in it. And that's where I started storing my clothes instead of the suitcase. And there was no intention behind this. I just didn't have money to furnish the apartment. I didn't know how long I was going to stay in that apartment. I was planning not to stay for long, so it didn't make sense for me to invest in furnishing things exactly for that apartment, especially since it has its particular needs because it was very small. And so I ended up being an accidental minimalist, extreme minimalist, I would say. I had very few possessions, and you know what? I survived. But was it comfortable? That is very questionable. Can you survive washing your clothes in a bucket? You can. Can you survive without any fancy equipment, any TV or whatever in your apartment? You can. But how much are you actually enjoying yourself? How much do you actually feel like you have provided things that give you joy? Just by buying that dresser, I already felt so much happier because I had something that made my life easier. And that experience taught me a lot about minimalism and how I don't really need a lot of stuff to be happy and to survive, but I do need a few things that will make my life easier and brings me joy. And one of the things that brings me joy are my clothes, is my closet. If you're liking this video up to now, I would love it if you would click the like button down below to let me know. Thank you. I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine yesterday, and we were talking about our wardrobes. He has an approach to his wardrobe that is very simplistic and minimal, where mostly in his day-to-day life he is fine with just wearing simple clothes and not having to think about what he's going to put on, but also likes having a few pieces that are a little bit more special for when he has special occasions. I, on the other hand, actually enjoy adding things to my closet. This has nothing to do with the rush that you get when you buy something new, because I know that some people that are kind of hooked on buying get that rush. That's not what it is for me. I actually get sense of satisfaction when I acquire clothes that I love. So when I actually find that piece of clothing that I've been looking for a while, and I'm able to incorporate it in my closet, and every time I wear it I feel incredible, that is the feeling that I want to keep going. I love experimenting with my closet. I love discovering my style and playing with it. I like it so much that I made this YouTube channel just to be able to talk about clothes, which is something I am so passionate about. I realized how different people's approaches to their wardrobe is after that conversation. And there's a very interesting video by a YouTuber named Rebecca Jacobs, where she talks about the difference and the scalability of play versus simplicity. So if you're somebody that likes to play with your wardrobe, you are going to end up having more clothing in there because that's something that you like to do. But if you're somebody that uses your wardrobe in a much more functional way and don't really get that kick out of trying new things or switching things up, then you will be at the end of the simplicity of the spectrum, and you'll probably benefit from having less clothes in your closet. I'll leave the video where she talks about this concept down in the description if you're interested in watching. Take capsule wardrobes, for example. I love putting together capsule wardrobes because I feel it's an exercise that challenges me to think of different ways that I can put my clothing together, and also surprise myself at how many outfits I could actually put together using less pieces. But I could never have a restricted capsule wardrobe closet where I can only wear 33 pieces or whatever the official number for capsule wardrobes are, and not be able to play with my whole closet. It's just not me. It's just not who I am. I love clothing, like I mentioned before, and I love being able to have all of my clothes at my fingertips so I can play around with them. So, is 32 pairs too many pairs of shoes for one person to have? And my answer to that is no. I wear all of those 37 pairs of shoes. Some I do wear more regularly and are my more staple shoes, like my white sneakers, and some I wear very occasionally, like my fancy dress heels for parties. Some are utilitarian, so I have snow boots that are only taken out when I have to walk through snow. But I feel no need to pare down once I know that I wear everything. And if I did get rid of one particular pair, I'd probably miss it at any given time while putting together an outfit. I have learned to buy things for two reasons. One, if it makes my day-to-day life easier, like the shoe rack I mentioned in the beginning of the video. And another reason why I buy things is because they bring me joy, like my clothing or scented candles. To me, a minimal wardrobe is a wardrobe where I wear all the pieces and I feel great in them. No need to get caught up in numbers. If you buy clothes and have a whole bunch of things that you end up not wearing in your closet, then I strongly suggest that you watch this video up here next. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.